Hello family, God bless you and welcome back to my channel. I am here today to talk to you about one of my books that I've been reading. Oh wow, it is such a great book and it blessed me so much today that everything in the world turned beautiful, if that makes any sense. And that to me was a blessing, and I really want to bless the rest of you with that. So to explain it, here, I'll just tell you what the book is first. If you want to pick it up yourself, I bought it on Amazon, literally. It is called Imagine Heaven by John Burke. I think that's how you say it, Burke. It is so good. First of all, it is so good. It's going to touch your heart in a place that you just, I don't even know. You wouldn't even know your heart went that deep. For real. So basically, it's about people who completely flatlined at one point and died for however long and came back to life. And they shared their experiences with what they witnessed and what they felt and what they saw on the other side of death. Okay, so that's just a little bit. I do want to forewarn you that there is, some experiences that were not so pleasant, and that's putting it nicely. But there are some that you will be so blessed to find out about. And the one that I read today, it was about this lady. I'm just going to tell you really quick. It was about this lady who she was actually a spine surgeon, which I thought was very interesting. So a lot of them are accounts of doctors who helped patients come back to life, and then the patients expressed to them what they saw on the other side. And these were skeptical doctors. These were doctors who said, I didn't have no opinion either which way on heaven, hell, or anything. And so I just want you to know these were skeptical doctors that are giving these accounts and expressing the stories. That some of them even did extra studies after they had one too many experiences like that, on just people who had near-death experiences. So, Lord, today's so this book, he's kind of giving short snips of people's accounts of their experience. Just a small story, a short story, if you will, of each person's account for what they saw, felt, and experienced on the other side, basically. So this lady today that I read about today, she was a spine surgeon, which I thought was very interesting, but also cool. God is going to do this. God uses anyone, and you also have to imagine, like, why he even does this. Like, why does he even have people die and then come back to life? You got to question that. Like, why are you doing that, God? And it is not for no reason either. So, yes. So this lady, she died. I almost just want to read it, to keep it real. Just this little part that she said. So, I'm going to have to use that light. So basically, she was kayaking. It was like a kayak trip with a couple of friends of hers, and something happened to her kayak where the nose of it like dug down into the rock and it stopped, but the current had pushed her body, like folded her almost in half, and the current like did nothing but like push her body. It was like right over, almost over a waterfall. Okay, I'm just gonna pause right there and say something. However you feel about God, and whatever you feel is real or not, try to put yourself in a situation of, you know, you're about to die. How do you feel about him now? One person, and this was literally at a club, and it was a man who said it. Sometimes it matters if a man or women say it, but it was a man who told it to me. He said, there's no atheists in the foxhole, or something like that. So like the foxhole meaning like when you're in the middle of war, and all the soldiers are basically, this is my understanding of it, but all the soldiers go kind of underground in a foxhole to protect themselves from bombs and other fires, things like that. So basically right in the center of a war zone, right? He said there's no atheists in a foxhole. So he, like, anyone can say how they feel about it, but at the end of the day, when real situations happen, it's like, okay, all right, no, for real though. Like, yes, God, your will be done. Like, you know, so I will just, that's just a little side note, but okay, so yes, she said instantly she was sure that she was gonna die. It was like she knew she was gonna die, and it was like she knew for a fact she was gonna die. She was certain. She said she was completely certain. And this is a doctor. This is a doctor saying this. So she said she knew she was gonna die. But the instant that she said, God, your will be done, she said she instantly felt a physical feeling of being held. And at this time, she's saying, I can feel my bones breaking and my ligaments tearing. I can feel my tendons tearing. She's like, I can feel all of this. This is a doctor. She's like, I can feel all my bones breaking. And I knew I was going to die. That's what she said. And so she said, but as soon as she said, God, your will be done, she said, I instantly felt myself being held by Jesus. And I did not panic. I was not in fear. I did not fight. Like, she wasn't trying to fight to get out or anything. It was a sense of just sheer peace. Praise you, Jesus. I almost want to just read it to you. I honestly just want to read it. So I'm just going to read this. Mind you, if you just caught my last video, you could hear me talking about a little bit of a disability, but we're just going to go ahead and read it anyway. The very moment I turned to him, I was overcome with an absolute feeling of calm, peace, and a very physical sensation of being held in someone's arms. I knew with absolute certainty that I was being held and comforted by Jesus, which was initially surprising, as I am just an ordinary person. But at the same time, I understood perfectly how Jesus could be there holding and comforting me, and would similarly be present for any other person who called for his help at the same time, anywhere in the world. And then this is from the guy that's interviewing her. As Jesus held her, he took Mary through a review of her life. After 14 minutes underwater, Mary's body finally broke free from the kayak, and she began to tumble through the rapids. She experienced a feeling of release. It felt as if I had finally shaken off my heavy outer layer, freeing my soul. Mary felt her soul break through the surface of the water and rise above the river, where a welcoming committee was there to joyously greet her. And then this is from her again. I was immediately greeted by a group of people, spirits, beings. I'm never really quite sure what the word to use because those names mean different things to different people. They were wearing robes of a sort, but they were absolutely exploding with pure, pure love. It was a welcoming committee. I absolutely knew that they were there to welcome me and greet me and make me feel loved and comfortable. They had physical bodies. They had heads, arms, and legs. I knew without any doubt that I had known them and loved them as long as I existed. I knew that they knew me and loved me as long as I existed. It was joy at an unadulterated core level, which I don't know what that word means and I should have looked it up. Unadulterated. But I didn't. So I'm going to actually put it in like the description thing. Unadulterated. My arrival was joyously celebrated. And a feeling of absolute love was palpable as these spiritual beings and I hugged, danced, and greeted each other. The intensity, depth, and purity of these feelings and sensations were far greater than I could ever describe with words, and far greater than anything I had ever experienced on earth. Don't get me wrong. I had been very blessed in my life and have experienced great joy and love here on earth. I love my husband and I love my children with great intensity. It's just that God's world is exponentially more colorful and intense. My companions and I began to glide along a path, and I knew that I was going home, my eternal home. As I was drinking in the beauty and rejoicing with my companions, I glimpsed back at the scene on the river bank. My body, which after 14 minutes underwater had now been recovered, looked like a shell of a comfortable old friend. And I felt warm compassion and gratitude for its use. I looked at Tom and his sons, the people that she was with, and they seemed so terribly sad and vulnerable. I heard them call to me and beg me take a breath. I loved them and I did not want them to be sad, so I asked my heavenly companions to wait while I returned to my body and lay down and take a breath. So, I don't know how else to say this other than letting you guys in on something personal, but I am dealing with a very, very serious injury at the moment, okay? And it has to do with nerve damage, but that is not the extent of it. But that's just how I can explain it, because there's just no words at how difficult this injury is. And it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. And you can see me still doing things, but I'm in great pain, okay? And so this book really comforted me as far as like, all the accounts say that when you leave, you have no pain. The pain is an earthly thing. And I was just so blessed to hear that, and I needed to hear that, honestly, because your body, it's just earth. This body we're in right now, it's just an earthly thing. It's not going to be there forever. So if you're dealing with anything having to do with your body right now, it's temporary. I don't care how permanent it feels, it is temporary. And for some reason, that just gave me overwhelming joy today. And I was so excited to drive home and make this video for everyone. I've been happy ever since I read it. It went on further to just explain, like, your body, like she said, your body feels heavy. You feel the weight of life while you're alive. But when you leave, you don't need to fear death, because it's going to be so beautiful and so comfortable and so peaceful. And praise Jesus, it is. I wish I could even put it into words, but even in this book it says, like, there is no words to truthfully describe God's world, like God's heaven. There is no English, like, our language is not complex enough to explain how beautiful heaven is. And it's a bunch of people who went to heaven. I mean, there were some people that did go to hell too, but there was a bunch of people that went to heaven. And even a baby girl, she went to heaven and came back, and she said, heaven is fun. Heaven is fun. She said, heaven is fun. But I don't know why, I just wanted to come on here and tell you that if you're dealing with anything physical, please understand that it is just temporary, and you are going to be in heaven, and you are going to feel the relief. And it even said about anxiety, it turns into peace. Like, if you deal with anxiety, it just turns into peace when you die. Okay, so just think about that and try to feel it now. All right, God bless you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.